Hera, the goddess. She was supposed to protect the marriage, and yet she ended up married to Zeus, her own brother, a god notorious for infidelity. She was a queen of the gods, majestic, untouchable, above everyone else, and yet so much of her life was spent fighting rivals and fighting the children born from Zeus' affairs. She was meant to stand for order, but inside her own marriage, she became one of mythology's most relentless avengers. She was Hera, he was Zeus, and their union did not begin with some dazzling romance. It began as a trap, a hunt that had been planned in advance. Faced with his proud, untouchable sister, Zeus did not try to win her over with tenderness. He took a far uglier route. He used her compassion. He turned himself into a cuckoo bird, its feathers soaked through, its tiny body shivering with cold, and fell into Hera's arms. And Hera, seeing this little creature, took pity on it. She held it close, trying to warm it with her own body. Then the bird in her arms suddenly changed back into the king of the gods. So this marriage began with deception, and from the very beginning, it already carried the shape of compromise. To preserve her honor, Hera demanded that Zeus marry her. But what she did not know was that this was her first step into a gilded cage. Once Zeus had secured his throne, his desires spread across the world like thunder. He became a shower of gold, a bull, an eagle, anything he needed to be to seize whatever woman caught his eye, whether mortal or goddess. And that's where the irony becomes brutal. Hera was the protector of marriage. She was bound to uphold the sacred order. But her own husband was the one violating it, again and again. So myth gives us one of its cruelest patterns. Hera rarely punishes Zeus directly. Instead, her rage falls on the women he pursued, and on the children born from those betrayals. She turned Io into a cow, and had her watched by the 100-eyed giant. She set in motion the trap that led Semele to die beneath Zeus' divine glory. She even cursed Heracles, condemning him to a life of suffering. So yes, people remember her as jealous, cruel, vindictive, but from Hera's side, revenge was never just about wounded love. It was also the last way she had to defend what remained of her dignity. Because in the order of ancient Greece, to be queen of the gods was not merely an honor, it was power, it was legitimacy, it was sovereignty. She was not simply losing her mind over love, she was fighting to hold her ground. So why not leave? Why not divorce him? Because deep down, the bond between Zeus and Hera had long outgrown ordinary human ideas of love and hate. It had become something darker than that, a kind of symbiosis of power. Zeus stood for expansion, force, raw vitality. Hera stood for stability, order, and legitimacy. Without Zeus, Olympus would lose its force, but without Hera, his rule would slide into lawless tyranny. They fought violently. At one point, Hera even rallied the gods in revolt, trying to bind Zeus to his bed. And Zeus, in return, once hung her in the air, her wrists bound in golden chains. They tormented each other, but they also needed each other. Every return after betrayal, every reconciliation after revenge, was really a reshuffling of power. And to the ancient Greeks, the quarrels of this divine couple were never just domestic. They echoed outward as storm, as thunder, as upheaval in the mortal world. This was never love, not in any simple sense. It was a lifelong contest between desire and order. Hera kept her place as queen. She preserved the name of marriage. But in doing so, she also betrayed the younger self, who might once have believed in love. And Zeus, for all his power, for all that he possessed the whole mountain of the gods, could never find even a moment of peace in Hera's gates. This is no mere myth. It is a reflection of human reality. Because this relationship, this magnificent shackle on Mount Olympus, is not just a tragedy of the gods, it is also one of the clearest projections of human nature. A union that began in deception was trapped by power and in the end settled into a kind of third balance. For mortals, suffering at least ends in death, but the gods have no such mercy. They are bound inside eternity itself, sharing the worship of the world, while deep within their temple, they grow weary of the sight of each other.